Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, and thank you for being in Soul Talk. I really appreciate you. And today we have two guests that both of them are very, very magical. So let me tell you who they are, a little bit about them, but they are going to give us more information about what they do, and so forth. It is Karin Edgett, I hope I have it right, and Diana Snigurowicz.
Yes.
Oh,
Very good.
not mess it up. Hi, guys. Thank you for being in my podcast. I really, really appreciate you coming to it.
Thank you for having us. We
Okay.
appreciate being here.
Can you tell us a little bit, because I was reading your bio and it is very, very interesting for both of us, for both of you. Can you please let us know who you are, what do you do, and how you got here?
Sure.
You go first.
Well, I'm an artist. I call myself a visionary artist. I think one of my paintings is behind us here. And I got to this more connected state of being through the health path. I was very frustrated with my health and not feeling very well, and allopathic medicine was not helping me, and I just started working with alternative wellness practitioners and regained all my health back. So I got really excited about life, and now I'm just really more of an artist, and I apply the work I do, the information I know and the connections I have to anything creative instead of fixing myself. And Diana and I met at the gym. I'll speak for us. We met at the gym, and
Except I don't remember it.
I met her about 4 years before she met me, but but I knew then, I knew there was something about her. But when we met, we started having what I call these multidimensional conversations about things, and we thought they were really interesting. So we thought maybe we should record them, and that's how we started our podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So I used to be an academic, and I used to be a librarian. Now I run a bed and breakfast, but I also have found in the last couple of years that I probably everybody can do this, but there's a couple of instances in my life where I remember communicating with dead relatives. One of them being this is about 20 years ago. An uncle of mine had died. He lived in Montreal, and I was driving to work, and he appeared in my passenger seat, and he said, you have to go up to Montreal. Okay, so okay, I'm going up there, clear up his estate and whatever. What did I find there but a cat? It was one of his cats, which I brought down with me. On the way back in the airport, I had the cat with me. He appears again beside me, and he's smiling and happy. And I realized then, okay, that's why he wanted me to go up there to get his cat.
And that was your first clear communications from the other side?
Well, I don't know. I probably had other ones, but that's the one that kind of impacted me the most, because he was really there, So anyway, and then Karin had suggested I take this course on animal communication with Mary Beth Decker. And
have you talked to Mary Beth Decker? Yeah, she's lovely.
Okay, she's really good. I mean, she does other stuff besides animal communication, right? So anyway, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, I can actually see more than appears in the physical world, right? And I don't know what you want to call it, multidimensional world, right? And so now this stuff just happens to me. And then, and so Karin and I started talking about all this stuff, and then it became the podcast.
I get you guys. That's how it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and for me in my podcast, I start having interesting conversations with people. Like, oh, this is so interesting that people should be listening to it, and that's how we started.
So yeah,
And
it's interesting how the pandemic and other elements of chaos were really, for a lot of us, just openings to these realms that we had not allowed ourselves access to before. And I feel like it's coming both from us having openings and from the realms being suddenly more interested in what's going on here. So they're becoming more available. At the same time, we're becoming more perceptive.
Yeah, I should add though that one of the things that propelled me further was like
Besides our conversations.
besides our conversations, yeah, besides Mary Beth's animal communication course, it's like I found myself remembering past lives, and with reference to one specific person, even my husband. I was like, that's something else entirely. But then, and that caused like this incredible shift in me, and I'm thinking, it's like, what the heck is going on, you know? But so like these past lives have been corroborated by not just me, somebody else is telling me this is what happened to you, right? And it just changed everything, you know.
oh, I do agree with you. The people do not want to understand how interconnected we are, not only with human beings, with multidimensional beings and
Yes.
everything around us. And in the moment we understand that reality, the majority, that's why there's this podcast like yours and mine, and many other ones that we're working in these levels. We're helping the people to amplify their conscience and understand that there's things around us all the time, that even if we want to be alone, we can't. It's impossible, right?
No, it's like, I mean, you've talked about your guides. We all have guides, right? Okay. Sometimes they prod you to do what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes they actually start talking to you and telling you to do this stuff, right? And I just follow what they say. There's one of them that's around me a lot, and he appeared the beginning of actually January 1st of last year. And this is the Egyptian god Horus. It's actually kind of funny because a lot of the stuff was happening to me like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'd wake up and so like I'd just see these things, right? And I'd see my higher self too. And so as one like January 1st, I woke up and I see my higher self welcoming this figure that looked like SpongeBob. Okay, it's basically just a rectangular figure, and it was all grayed out. And she was she said, like very respectful, right? She says, "Oh, thank you for coming." And he says something like, "Oh, I just wanted to make sure everything was okay." Okay. And then I'm thinking, like, who the heck is this, right? I mean, I recognize my higher self, right? But who is this rectangular figure that's looks like SpongeBob and is just grayed out? So then I do other when I like the next days, I do other meditations, and it's like, oh, he did something to disguise himself. Okay. The grayed out part, the SpongeBob part that was grayed out, he did that so he wouldn't be recognized. Okay. And then finally he showed me, okay, it really is Horus. And
with the Egyptian god with the
bird head,
falcon,
right?
falcon head and the
Yeah. So sometimes I do see him with the falcon head. There was one time, not too long ago, maybe a month or so ago, him and my grandfather, who's deceased. Okay. My grandfather actually shows up a lot. Usually when there's things that he's trying to warn me of, or there's some kind of danger, or something's going to happen. But anyway, they were on top of the shed that's behind my bed and breakfast, and they were just sitting there. And I'm thinking, it's like, oh, they're trying to decide something. What are they deciding? I still don't quite know.
To this day, you don't know?
To this day, I don't
Yeah.
know. Not quite, right?
The guides arrive like that. Like yesterday, in fact, I received a new guide. She told me her name is Ofanea, and it's like, okay, what are we going to be working together? It's like, oh, you will see. You will see. We have a lot of work to do. Great. What is the work? You will see. You will see. And it's like, great, you're here. Okay, but what is we have to do with them?
Right.
We have transitory guides, and we have guides that they're just working with us for a certain project, certain thing, and boom, disappear. And other ones that are there forever with us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same real sensation when I'm working with my art, that I'm co-creating with the universe. I think of more as the universe than and maybe some fairy spirits and stuff, but it's there co-creating with me. And it's interesting because like during COVID, I was mostly painting and working in the visual arts material world, and the universal forces just started saying to me, you've got to work with flowers. And so I started taking pictures of flowers, even though I'm not a flower photographer. And then I started taking those flowers and creating grids and putting them on buildings to change their energy. And then I started taking portraits of people and imposing the grids of flowers on people to upgrade their energy during COVID. And next thing you know, like a huge art show is taking place, and people have something fun to look at and uplifting to look at while they're in their masked, fearful state, and they're losing their fear and seeing that there's actually some shifts going on at the same time. And it's amazing how these universal forces will just pop up and say, my latest project, it's telling me to do flower oracle cards. So I created a deck of flower oracle cards where the flowers actually giving their messages to people. And I don't know. It's like I wake up and that's the universe is like, you got to do something. And
But you actually, captured something in the oracle cards. Like when you look at most of the pictures, it's like you feel this incredible energy coming out of it.
Well, the flowers have a consciousness themselves, an individual consciousness and a collective consciousness. They form grids around the world when they're blooming all at the same time. And they're actually, their core message to me was that we're shifting. I know you guys are looking in a million different directions, and you look at us, in these preformed ways of like beauty and essences and stuff like that, but we're actually shifting the consciousness right now. And so I use macro photography to get way down into the flowers and I look for that consciousness shift. And when I feel like I've captured it, then I'll, create it, share it with the world in one way or another through cards or books or Instagram. And it's been an amazing journey just to learn the work that's being done by the flowers. It's not like just a daisy blooming. It's not like one daisy, but it'll be, millions of daisies blooming at the same time, or like changing. They're using the energy of the earth that's shifting and the energy of the sun that's shifting, and they're creating that shift here on earth while everybody else is trying really hard. They're just doing it. So it's very interesting. And, they've asked me to share it with the world because I can see it. So here I am.
Something that I know as a fact, and you would know it as an artist. I am an artist myself, and I've been painting for 40 years. I am like everywhere. But when I came to the conclusion that, in fact, when I came to understand what it was, source or energy, God, and universe, whatever you want to call it, it was through art.
Yeah.
And I believe all the artists are channelers, where the muse, yes, the muse actually are real, but the society norms, of course, they have taught them that's like, no, it's inspiration, it comes from your head. it never comes from the head. And for the artist, it always comes from the emotions. And that's what we create. It's very vulnerable. If the people understand, when artists were creating, it is a very vulnerable space because we're creating from the emotions. And some artists like you, we wanna like, and me, we like to give messages through those art. Those,
Right. So what I've found is that, yes, you're creating, but you can actually change a little bit in how you create by having the intention to be channeling the latest, way to help transform the world. Like sometimes when we're creating art, like, I took a hiatus from my art for many years because I was in the advertising world. And when I came back to it, all I wanted to do was paint light. That's all I was thinking of and I knew this light would transform me, but I didn't know how. And so a lot of the early paintings were just for self-exploration and self-awareness to shift the consciousness within myself. And then as I became more aware and deeply connected to the whole universe, I realized that you can actually intend for your art to be transformative in either an uplifting way or just for healing yourself or both. There's intentions you can bring to the art because a lot of us artists, we're channeling, the information's coming through us, however it's coming through us, but a lot of it is just healing ourselves versus having the intention to actually transform.
Yeah.
you know
That's how we started here.
yeah
Because we were trying to heal ourselves for
Yes.
remove limitations or whatever it is, traumas, whatever it was.
Except Diana, she didn't come to it through healing herself. She came through it
No,
a
I
little
did.
differently.
Well, I don't know.
Well, with your
I
grandfather.
studied music for a long time, right? And basically I used, not that I composed anything, but it's like I used just performing of music to actually try to heal myself. So yeah. Well,
That's why I said it, because that's where we started.
Yeah.
I wish the awakening of the human being was like, oh, I just wake up and understand everything, and my conscience is open. We go to different process. All the star seeds, light workers, energy workers. We started first understanding it like, oh, this is happening to me. So this is happening for me. So basically, we start observing and so forth, and that's when we start getting the guidance because we open up. We are in a working for the corporate or things like that. We don't have time for those things. So something has to happen to us. So we let go those jobs. It can be grieving, it can be divorce, it can be getting fired, whatever it is. Or and that's when we discover all the trauma that we're carrying that we want to liberate. And thanks to our guidance, that they're there or helping us into that route. But we have to go to that journey before so we can open up. Because they were there since we were babies.
Yeah, I think that every once in a while I run into somebody who's lucky enough to be raised in a family where they didn't cut off the channels early on. And so they travel through their whole life open. But you're right, most of us have to kind of get past a certain, like, okay, we tried everything, we accomplished everything the way we were supposed to, and now what? now we're free to like explore.
And something that I was reading in your bio that you guys connect with elementals, with the elemental realm, right? And that's the people that you interview also in your podcast, right?
element. What do you mean by elementals?
Like
Fairy,
water.
Water?
Fairy. Oh, the
Ele-
elementals are fairies and gnomes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. We don't call them those, but they're often referred to as that. Yeah, they're I've had loose little conversations with mostly garden fairies and art fairies for a long time, but Diana has like a very special relationship with fairies.
Well, okay. So like this is probably the most powerful one. I guess it was last year sometime, I was walking home from the gym, and so like this gnome appeared in my head, of course, right? Okay. And he's saying, "Oh, I'm the head gnome of, and I live on Karen's Karen's parents' house, right?" And because Karen had mentioned to me that they're trying to sell their parents' home.
We were trying to sell the home and it wasn't, there was a lot of fray around it. We were getting bad offers and my siblings were panicking, and anyway, go ahead.
But okay, so anyway, the head gnome appears to me, and so I asked him, like, can you do something? What's the problem with selling the house, right? And so he says, well, we want to make sure that whoever buys it is not going to tear it down, because we want to keep living there, the whole gnome community, right? And it was a very big one. They want to keep living there and they want it to be the same, right? So, and that's why he said, okay, that's why it's, it's not,
So
there's
at
a
the
problem
time,
finding the buyer, right?
so at the time they were sabotaging the effort
Right. So then I tell them,
versus helping.
well, so I tell them, okay, they're going to make sure that whoever buys it is not going to tear the place down. They're going to want to keep it as it is, right? So you're always going to have a place to stay. So now you have to do your part. See, I'm telling this to the gnome. You have to do your part. You call in all the gnome community globally and tell them to find a buyer. And okay.
Just like that.
It's like,
This couple with a bun in the oven comes by, newly married couple, and I looked at their wedding pictures and they looked like a lot of fun, and they saw the house, they immediately loved the house as it was. And the realtor said, oh, we'll show you a couple more. And they're like, no. We want to make an offer on this one instantly. We don't even want any else to get it. And their offer was fair and it was beautiful and it just sold.
so the gnomes loved them.
Yeah. And it's all gone really well for everyone. The
Yeah.
gnomes, the new couple, which is almost ready to have their baby.
So
But the gnomes also help you out in Chincoteague. There are different types of gnomes.
Yeah, okay. So I know there's lots of fairies there. Sometimes, I mean, they're about what, this high?
Wait, hold your hands up so you can see.
Okay,
What is that? 8 inches?
8 inches high.
The ones in Chincoteague.
Yeah.
These
and
are the fairies or the
those are the fairies. I think there's less gnomes there. They're kind of like
Oh, okay.
on the periphery more now that I've actually am living there part of the time. But they're very happy that there's nice people coming to stay there, and that they're involved in making the place nice and welcoming for them. And on 2 occasions, actually, I've been lying in bed and they start climbing on me.
I have felt that.
Like Gulliver, right?
Yes.
Gulliver's Travels. It's like, okay.
I have a question. What are I know there are different kinds of gnomes and fairies and so forth, but do they have a general message that they wanted to share with the world?
Oh, the ones I come across? Yeah, I mean, they realize that it's like 2 different worlds. They've got their own world, right? Their own concerns, like the gnome concerns in their communities and the fairy concerns, but there's also intersection between the human world and the elemental world. And so wherever there's intersection, they want there to be harmony and balance. And that can only happen if you're actually open to them and you're able to communicate with them. Well, not only happen, right? It's like both sides have to try.
I do agree. And something that I just hearing right now, it is the message in general, message for I don't, tell me if this resonate with you, is that basically they wonder, as humans, we take care of the planet so we can take care of their own habitat. They're there because we can see it when cities are growing up and expanding. And so where I live is a jungle of cement, of pavement. So where that's what they're losing. They're losing those places, those where they can grow and expand and have their own communities, like you mentioned. Not, not buying a house where they can demolish. They want to continue living in there.
Yeah.
You agree with that they're losing their habitat and they,
Well, I mean, I've only dealt with sort of like these very localized communities, so I don't really hear that, but yeah, they're saying, yeah, that's part of what their concern is also, you know.
it's losing their gnome habitats
Yeah,
or fairy habitats.
yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And if you have been feeling stuck where you are right now, or if you have felt that you cannot connect with others in the same language or the same emotions that you're feeling, if you're a coach, a healer, energy worker, in any of those branches, maybe this is for you. Because we have felt the disconnection for the rest of our family, friends, that we cannot connect to them. And we're so afraid to actually go deep dive when we're getting triggered by our own clients, because we're seeing our mirror image with them. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and that's my spiritual name. And I take clients from feeling confused and feeling stuck to feeling free, to feeling that they feel empowered from themselves. I created a system, Path to the Heart, that goes in 3 levels. And the first level, it is healing the inner child, healing the parts of us that we've been so afraid, or it's very painful to do it. I have done it myself, not only with me, and I have done it with many of my clients, that I take them to this process. The second level, it is to go more into inner self, clearing the family lineage, to breaking the contracts and vows, learning deeper more about the laws of the universe. And the third level, it is learning how to channel, how to do waking up your and getting online your gifts, your unique gifts that the world so much needs right now. So if you wanted to know more about this, I am eager to show you and to teach you all what I know that I use every day in my life. So thank you for being here in this page. I really appreciate it. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. Now, the question for our viewers, if they want to connect to the fairies and gnomes and all these beautiful magical creatures that they're here, they're just in a different dimension, how you can recommend to them so they can connect with them?
That's that's not a funny question. It's I feel like there's there's certain habitats that often have them. If you have a
Go
flower,
outdoors, go
yeah, if you
outdoors.
go outdoors and if you're in the if you're in a garden, especially gardens with flowers and stuff, they often hang around underneath the plants and underneath the bushes. But there's different types of fairy energies, like flowers themselves have a fairy that comes and is like fairy energy in the flower, and then it disappears when the flower disappears, and it just kind of reappears. It keeps reconstituting itself. And then there's the actual fairies that live in the gardens. And if you actually soften your eyes and you can get into like a playful mode, because they're mostly playful, you might be able to catch what looks like the visualization of the light, of how they show up within the light. And when I take pictures, sometimes I even ask Diane, I said, I sense the fairy in here because the way I sense things is different. And then I'll say to Diana, do you see it? And she'll say yes or no, before sometimes, confirm that this is a picture of a fairy, but I looked at a book once where someone captured fairies in photos, like real fairies in photos. And I was thinking to myself, if she's capturing fairies, I'm capturing them all the time. Because it was hard to see what she saw in her photos. But I can sense them more strongly in the photos I take. And I'm just wondering if the fairies are speaking to me.
If I'm not wrong, there was even a documento about this. There's these two little girls in the 1920s that they took a lot of photos of the fairies in the backyard. And of course, it's been the photos and the videos are, and the documento is all over these beautiful beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand them. Not many people can see them. They can sense them like you do.
Yeah. Diana can actually see them, and she often.
But it's not like how you see another animal or person. I kind of like just see them in my imagination, you know. So that's the difference. But with regards to your question there,
she can see whether they have wings or not.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She said the ones that are hanging out with in my house are repelling fairies, and they have little ropes, and they
yeah, they like to go up and down the the curtains and stuff like that. But again, it's like I think probably the most important thing is, like, for me, they just sound like they just appeared. And it's something to do with your heart. It's like your heart has got to be completely open so that you can actually feel their energy. Once you feel their energy, you can start to see them.
And you can ask proof, something that I have encountered with the beings that I connect. It's like, okay, I did not understand that question, or show me in a different way, or present yourself with your true, how you really look like, so they don't look like SpongeBob. Because they do, they don't want to scare us. So they will present with something that will feel safe.
That's my take on it. And that's why so many fairies show up with the little wings and the little bodies, because that is a bridge to understanding their energy. Because I do believe they're really probably more energy, but if they require a costume to help with interacting with them and being in a relationship with them, then they will appear that way. I'm sorry about these messages coming up. I thought I'd turned all this stuff off, but it's not. We're gonna hear little dings and bangs. They're the fairies interrupting us.
I remember one of my clients telling me, okay, what can I do so I can see Archangel Michael when he comes? And I told him, first of all, you have to be ready. If you're not ready and just Archangel Michael just appear, you're gonna faint. You're not ready. When you're ready, they will appear to you. They will appear in fairies, gnomes, dragons. It's everything, that there is in a different dimensions.
So taking, getting centered, connecting to the earth, breathing deeply, meditation, all these things help open up your heart. And the more open your heart is, the easier it is to receive the connections to the elementals and anything else the way that's appropriate for you to receive it. So you might actually be receiving it as a vision. You might actually be receiving it as, a gift that just appears, sensations. It's all different for everybody. A lot of people give very, very succinct messages. And a lot of people go into a trance and just channel. And a lot of people just feel things, or, for me, it can come in many ways, but a lot of times I'm just driven to actually, when this happens to me, I'll be driven to create a painting, and, there it will be. And it's not really a message necessarily. or sometimes I create paintings and then I sit back with them for like a couple weeks and I say, okay, what's the message?
Mhm.
And they give me the words. And so the words then appear. But I think a lot of it is, finding any way possible to open your heart and relax. And I think those are the two keys to setting your intention, opening your heart and relaxing. And there's a million ways to do that.
Yeah.
But I have encountered that if you don't believe in your own self, you're gonna have problems to channel, to receive the message, or to see, because you don't believe in your own self.
Well, okay, so um oh, I was going to say something about your comment when you're ready, right? Okay. So for a number of years before I actually started seeing the gnomes and other and Horus and whatever, I was meditating every day, specific kinds of meditation. And then I also took Reiki. So I was doing Reiki daily on myself, right? So those are two ways that somebody can actually, if they really want to do this, do things like that consistently, and you will notice changes happening in yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
meditation is a portal to much of this,
Thing is that people confuse meditations that, like the Buddhist meditation, that they go 20 years on top of a mountain and they're over there, no one eating or talking or nothing doing that. And that is not practical for the regular human beings if we're not monks. It can be a meditation, just be conscious breathing for 5 minutes and you're in that moment. It don't has to be a long process of 20 years. It can be something.
Right.
I think it's a lifelong practice, the meditation. And for some people, like I'm a good example of it. I'm come from a type A background where you push, you never really sat down. I think one of the 10 commandments in our family was thou shalt sleep in the grave. And I just, for me, a bridge to all this was just doing yoga. I went to the gym and started doing yoga, and they didn't. Looking back, I'm like, they make you do those shivasanas where you have to lay still for like a minute, and I'd be like, total torture. I'm like, how can anybody lay still for a minute? But it's like there's ways to go from like extreme, busy, sort of this, ignoring all the subtleties of life, into a full blown embracing of the multidimensionality and the subtleness of life. And a lot of times, it's just something that simple. You start doing yoga, and that frees up a piece of you to then maybe do another deeper type of meditation. My journey through meditation, I've been doing this a lot longer than Diana has, maybe 25 years now. And my journey through meditation is that there's so many ways to meditate. Just keep trying new ones. And if you like one, you might like it only for a while, and then something else will pop up, because each time you meditate or learn a meditation, it's to take you to a certain level. And there's many types of meditation, and there's many ways to personalize whatever anybody's taught you. And there's, for me now, my best types of meditation are just to lay horizontal and not have any guidance, not have any restrictions on anything other than maybe I'll set a timer because
But you do notice that the people that have monkey mind,
pardon me?
the people that have monkey mind,
Yeah.
Well,
have
for
no
them,
thoughts.
for the monkey mind, guided meditations help, but also like yoga is a good step for that, because yoga starts to calm the body, which helps calm the mind. And there's all kinds of physical things you can do too, like drinking water, drinking chamomile tea. There's like ways to calm your mind down if you have monkey mind. But yoga is a great start for monkey mind.
Yeah. So I still do the meditation that I started with when I started meditating a couple of years ago. That's Mary Beth's meditation.
So you've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And it's
called the Rainbow Meditation. And it is okay, the monkey mind still comes in there, right? Except I always have to pull myself back. And it's basically you're just pulling colors through your body from the earth through your legs up through your body. You start with red, and then you go through the colors of the chakras, and they go up through your body, up out your head, and somebody up there adds something to it, then it comes down and the color pours all over you, and you do that color by color.
Yeah, and see, that's a beautiful meditation, and there's all kinds of ways that's, I mean, Diana's getting a lot of insight and transformation from that particular meditation.
And what is actually kind of funny is, like, when I first started doing this, there'd be days when I would skip, right? And those days, something would happen. Like one that I really remember is that I'd be coming home from work and I saw this little girl, school had let out, and she was in a rainbow colored tutu, right? A skirt. So I thought, oh my God, yeah, I didn't do the rainbow meditation. It's like,
So rainbows would come and remind you somewhere.
yeah, that's right.
It is weird when they send us messages, how they present them themselves, or reminders like that one. And I just wanted to ask you this. I grew up in Mexico.
Oh, nice.
So,
It's my second favorite country.
and the South and the North in Mexico are very different in beliefs and everything. It is more, I call it itself more Mexican side, the center South, and the north side of Mexico is more American
Mhm.
because it's a neighbor country. But and I grew up over there, and we have two kinds of noms over there.
Oh, nice. Probably
The
more than two.
bad ones, the ones that are more mischievous, that they will hide your keys, hide keys, and it's like, or simply make you forget what you were going for the kitchen for. Those are we call them cheneques over there, and we have also the good ones that they help us with the plants and the herbs and and this kind of stuff. So I wonder right now that I'm talking to you guys that you have a more experience than me connecting with I call them the elementals because I put all together in one. Because
Right.
we're so many. Like humans, we're so many, that's why we're in the collective of the humans. And but there is a way that we can work with the one that are more mischievous and things like that, because hey, the car keys, everybody lose them, and many times it's them. Or the socks. You put it in the washer and the dryer, the two socks, and they only appear one. And things like that. So what would you do with that? So the keys appear and the socks don't get lost.
Okay, so I've got so like a story that happened to me recently, which kind of like is like the lost car keys. Okay, so my bed and breakfast there, I had two bathrobes for each room, and so one of the bathrobes was missing a belt. So I thought, okay, well, geez, this is not good, right? So I made this makeshift belt, and then I've always wondered what happened to that belt. What happened a couple of weeks ago? I was doing the laundry, and this belt just showed up. And I'm thinking, okay, the fairies must have found it and stuck it in the laundry. It's just really, really bizarre, right? Okay, and I think perhaps they realize, they know I take care of the place, I take care of them, I want them to be happy, they want me to be happy.
So I think that I got the same kind of hit that Diana got. I think that they like to be acknowledged and they want to be included in your life. And if it's just like siblings, if you're not like doing something constructive with them, they'll find ways to get your attention.
Yeah.
So if you acknowledge them more, include them in life, maybe on purpose, create habitats for them, give them more of a purpose in your life, they might not be like just teasing you all the time. Because just like people, they're teasing you when they're looking for attention.
That is true.
How would you even know they're there if they didn't hide your keys? I mean, that's what they are saying.
Yes.
You're
And this-
busy, you're thinking about everything but us, and all of a sudden you're thinking about us because something's missing. So anyway, that's the information I'm getting, is like, you gotta like make them a an important part of the family if you don't want to.
Yeah, and you don't really
Bother
have
you.
to do I don't think you have to do anything specific. You just have that intention in your mind that
Don't forget about them.
they are part of your environment, they're part of your community, they're part of your house, whatever, include them in your thoughts.
But you can include them in daily stuff too. Like, for instance, Diana has she has well, if I'm like creating a painting, I would include them in the process. But if Diana has a situation where she double booked a room next year, and so we put the fairies on resolving it.
Yeah, they've got to do something to figure out.
So they got a big
what to
task
do.
over
Yeah,
there.
big task.
I got a
Yep.
couple months to work it out before
Mhm.
Diana's in trouble. But the point is, include them, acknowledge them. I don't think it's such a bad idea to also create a habitat for them. Like, if you're one of these people that likes very prim and proper gardens, maybe you should include a few like areas where it's a little less tidy, and maybe there's a couple little mushroom statues, I don't know, that they can hang out with. put a little tiny swing set out there.
I have to tell you this story because it's still making me laugh. I was fixing my garden, and I have my little gnomes, and I have my little house and so forth. My daughter and me would paint it, and so they can play in there. And I hired someone to come and help me because I was very busy, and like the grass was tall and so forth, to come and do it. And
Oops.
she put all the little house and the gnomes on the side. And when I went outside to check what she was doing, she told me, I put all your toys over there so you can play later on with them.
That's great. That's great. Well,
And
kids see them. Kids, their hearts are still wide open usually, so they see them. They know. That's great.
yes, I have to say that one because I still laugh about that one. It's like, oh, why there is no point to explain to people that they're close-minded that they exist, because you're not going to convince them. They have a close-minded, they have a narrow view, they're not going to see them.
Yeah,
Or
but they might see them one day. So instead of trying to convince them, you just go about your life as, these are my friends over here, the gnomes. If you don't want to acknowledge them, fine, but I'm acknowledging they're there. And 5-10 years down the road, they might remember that incident. They might have established their own relationship, but it's easier for them because I feel like there isn't a whole lot of, well, let's just say there's a little bit more of an opening for less persecution of people who speak multidimensionally or acknowledge the world multidimensionally now. And so I think it's okay to open that dialogue, however it is. And even if you get, someone rolls their eyes at you or says whatever, let's not invite them the next time. It's okay because they have to hear this stuff because they one day will also be opening to it. It'll happen for almost everybody.
and I feel like the veils are getting thinner and more
What's
thin.
getting cleaner?
The veils.
Oh, the veils are thinner. Yeah, they're very thin right now.
They're gonna see it sooner. They're gonna see them or
Yeah.
sense them or hear them or something. So I do agree with that. With you, I wanted to talk about your podcast.
Okay.
A bit about podcast. Who do you interview, and who is the people that you attract to interview, so like that people can follow you in your podcast, guys.
Who did we start out with? The dolphins, right? No, the pigs.
The bacteria.
Who did we start out with?
I think the first one was on well, we did a podcast, but we forgot to record it, or we didn't record it. So I don't know what our first one was. I've forgotten, but I think the first one was on bacteria that we actually published.
Oh,
Got
okay.
bacteria, but
bacteria, right.
or something like that. But anyway, we sometimes we get a hit ahead of time who they're going to be. But at the time we started the podcast, Diana and I were getting ready to go swim with the dolphins out in California. And so the dolphins were on our radar a lot. And so we did some initial ones with the dolphins. I think we did 3 where the dolphins came on.
Yeah, they said they wanted to talk to us.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they came to 3, and they actually show up to other ones too, but they don't really say much. They're just watching.
There's lots of spectators also.
Right. So we have we have a huge audience
The other side.
of multidimensional beings watching our podcast as we do it.
And sometimes I get the feeling that they want to ask questions, except it's like we can't really.
We don't have,
Speaking for myself, I can't really hear
Yeah.
what they're saying yet.
yeah,
So,
we haven't been able to find a way to facilitate them as question askers.
So you haven't tried trance channeling with them?
Well, all the channeling we do is with the guests that come on, but I think that if Diana could get a clear channel to them, she would have gotten it by now. I mean, she's still trying, but
yeah,
there's nothing
well,
that
we'll
comes
see what
through.
happens. So,
So generally in the podcast, we talk about it ahead of time. We have a creative space where we intend for certain guides to come in and make sure the podcast is
safe.
Safe and healing and fun and educational and interesting, all those things. And then once we've set the whole groundwork for it, the guests appear, and I often find myself doing a little bit more of the interviewing and Diana doing more of the channeling because she gets the messages very clearly, and we just play off of each other. We just kind of go into the zone for that. And whether we're talking to Horus or we're talking to gut bacteria or dolphins,
Or the color pink.
Yeah, the color
water.
The color pink was fun, and then we always try to ask what, if they have any advice for humans in general. I loved it when we asked, I'm wearing pink today. I loved it when we asked, pink was, is the vibration, said that they were the vibration of love and joy, and especially pink that has patterns in it and movement to it, not just plain solid pink. And then I asked, well, how does that compare to red, who is always thought of as love, right? The vibration of love, and red is kind of like a known fact. And they said, the pink answered and said that there's a thin line between love and hate.
Or anger. Anger comes with red.
Pardon me?
Anger comes with red.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
Hate and anger.
There's that too, but so that you're kind of in that safer zone if you're in the pink love and joy zone than if you're in red. You can make one little misstep and you're like boing into the hate. So I guess we're looking for information. We're looking for fun ways. One of the reasons I enjoy working with Diana is I've worked with a lot of clairvoyants over the years, and Diana, she actually is a fairly new clairvoyant. She's not dogmatic at all. So
I just want to have fun.
Yeah, so we just have fun. I mean, she doesn't have a formula she follows. There isn't any I know she does the rainbow meditation every day, but there isn't like this is the only way, rigid way to act.
I haven't studied this, it's just boom.
Yeah, she's opened up really quickly in the last couple of years. And so it's been fun to not have those dogmatic filters on any of the conversations. So I think that's what makes us sometimes a little different.
At the same time, it is different. Even me, I've been a channeler all my life. I do different kinds of channeling, from light language, etc., trance channeling, etc. And something that I encountered, that it changed with time, and there is not a set rules.
No.
If I turn to the east or to the west, no, it's going to happen whenever you can be driving, and it's going to happen there. It's going to happen when it has to happen. So there is not a rule. So I do agree with her, because it is like that.
Yeah.
That in the trance channeling, we all have filters. Everything. traumas, things that we have lived, etc. So when we're receiving the message through a telepathic communication, it's going to pass through our filters when it comes out in the message. But when you're doing the trance channeling, it is different because they're inside of you with your permission, and they are speaking through your own mouth, through your own vocal cords. So it is not going to have that distortions that everybody have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I more, when I want to give a clear message, it is channel.
Trans chat.
So I get out of the way, and they can give the message more clearly that if I'm just hearing and passing on. I can do the Akashic records like you guys do.
Who's your favorite when you do trans channeling? Who's your favorite being to tap into?
Oh, my higher self.
Higher self. Okay. That's fun. That's
I
interesting.
do have many guides, many beings, galactics, etc. that talk to me. And but usually when I'm gonna do a healing or gonna do a reading, it is through my higher self, unless one of the ancestors is coming in. It's like, okay, I don't channel the people. That's something that channel the people. I don't. But
so you're seeking your higher self for answers to the.
Yes, I can pass the message from the relative, but the person coming inside of me, no, I learned that in the hard way. So don't do that. Well, we the process, we're always learning.
Yeah, you're always learning. I think that's the key to what's going on right now, is that there is such a great expansion that it's hard to not limit yourself, because we crave structure, but right now structure is in the way a lot of times. So when you learn something, you need to just remember that what you've learned is not static.
Yes.
So like you'll take a course, and when someone's giving a course, they're often fairly rigid in how they present the information. But in the end, there's nothing rigid about this, what we can have access to, and what we can learn. And it's just mind-boggling how vast, the opportunities are to really connect. I mean, the other day we did a podcast on my heart, and we were connecting to Sirius, the star Sirius, and the star Sirius was like, wanted to apologize for just dumping me here on this earthly plane and abandoning me. And I'm like, I didn't hold anything against Sirius or whatever, but it's just like the messages that come through are just like, you have no idea. I had no idea that I was dumped here and left and abandoned as a Sirius. I guess I'm originated from Sirius in my essence, in my higher self.
Soul level, we sign up for everything, every single experience. And soul level, we did. We just forgot that we say yes to everything we have passed through.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Guys, do you have a last word so you would like to end this podcast?
Well, I would like to, say to people, come and listen, give us some feedback. We're fairly new at this, and we're having a really good time, and we think some of our conversations are kind of out of the norm and interesting. We have lots of conversations about food that, hearing the voices of food and what it's really thinking, and whether or not you should eat it or how you should eat it. And there's just a lot to learn, and we're just part of the people that are helping others learn what we learn ourselves.
Okay, and I would have to say, it's like listen to what your little voice is saying, your imagination. Don't discount anything. If an idea pops into your head and you think, oh, that's crazy, it's like, no, it's not crazy. Pay attention to everything.
Yes.
So
I like that. It was my pleasure to meet you guys and to be in my podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us here, and you're doing wonderful work out there. So keep it up, keep going.
thank you.
And
This was a lot of fun.
thank you. Thank you to everybody for being in the podcast, well, being Soul Talk. Thank you so much. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love.